Hi, I'm Justine Gonzalez, one of your teachers here on the Cultural Capacity Podcast. Let's hop into it. So, personality, did you know that personality is formed in each of us by the age, wait for it, of around 7 or 8 years old? So, your structure actually already begins even what's called your base personality, your kind of go-to of how you manage distress, how you're motivated, what conflict does to you, etc. All of that actually starts to formulate by the age of 6 months. And then our actual structure itself, a lot of you have shown interest in any of the episodes I've done specifically around the process communication model, of which I am a globally certified trainer. So you can always click, if you're watching this right now, you can always click on our leadership profile analysis to learn more about that. But what is this episode about? As why is personality important in the workplace? Woof. Ooh, we could talk about this professional, personal life, etc. And again, if you see my background, just click in the show notes. The only thing for this episode mainly, we're going to redirect you to our YouTube channel as well as our official website, which you see behind me. So let's get into it. Why does personality matter? Why is it important in the workplace? Here's why. Personality is really just a composition of all of these unique characteristics that make you you. I've actually been listening to, what is the text? It's called Sapiens, but I listen to a lot of different types of texts, especially when I'm traveling. And this one was no different as far as just my engagement levels. You all know I love to learn and then come back and share with you what I'm learning about, even if it is putting myself on blast and learning through myself. So, and learning from different mistakes that I've made and I share with you all here. But one of the interesting things I found is that in this particular text that I was listening to on Audible is that really personality can also come, there's so many things that we're learning more and more about DNA and how trauma and things like personality, they are actually very much tied to DNA, very much tied to our knowing and understanding, whether it's understanding our cultural origin story or our personality makeup, all the things that make us uniquely us as humans. There is something to be said about knowing, even if possible, and I know this isn't possible in every family and in every situation, but if possible, to even try to know a couple generations back is incredibly helpful, not only for trauma purposes, but also just in general health purposes is what I'm finding more and more. So why is personality important? So there's three main things I want to zone in on about personality. And personality can dictate not only our preferred leadership styles or our work interactions, how we like to work with others and be led. Personality can specifically enhance the following. One, our communication with others and our understanding of communications we receive from others in our lives, whether that's personal or professional, but we all know it really impacts the professional, especially when we don't know people as well. There's often not as much grace as there might be in our personal or familial relationships. However, I do want to point out that communication only actually occurs. And this might be hard to wrap your head around. It's certainly hard for me to still wrap my head around, even being a researcher in this world of communication and culture. So those are my two big areas as far as my research hat, is that a message is only received. Communication actually only happens when the message that you were intending to send is received in the way that you intended it. So for example, if I shoot off an email when I'm in distress, it's probably not going to convey the messaging that I want. And especially because written language is often misinterpreted, there's room for analyzing and assuming, which doesn't help anybody involved. That is just an example of why communication only actually happens when the message that we're intending to send is actually received in that same way. So I want to point out, number one, communication. That is one reason why personality matters great in the workplace. Number two, conflict resolution and also conflict management. Sometimes we see conflict as a bad thing, and I think that it's actually really healthy sometimes, especially in the workplace, and helps us advance and continuously improve while also holding one another accountable, and helping each of us as individuals become the best version of ourselves professionally, if we're willing and if we're able to be an environment where we can have healthy conflict and healthy dialogue that might include some conflict or conflicting viewpoints, etc. So number 2, conflict management or resolution. And number 3, motivation. Oh, some days, right? You wake up and you're like, "Ugh, I don't have any motivation to do anything." So what do we want to do? We want to understand ourselves so that we can understand how we function. That is where this comes into play up above here, our leadership profile analysis. That is for anybody who wants to go a little deeper. And if you're just listening to this, again, just check out the show notes, click on our website, go explore all the free opportunities. We have so many more things coming your way. And I just want to give our team a special shout out. So motivation, personality, understanding our personality and understanding how that drives our motivation, or either kind of maybe we're in environments that aren't able to support how we need to be motivated. I can't know those things about myself until I do a little bit of digging, a little bit of uncovering and peeling back the layers, so to speak, of my unique personality, how I prefer to be communicated with, how I prefer to communicate. You know what? I'm going to be honest too. There are days when even when you know these things, you say, I don't feel like talking to a lot of people today, or I don't have the bandwidth to make a phone call to so-and-so today. But when I look at my schedule, I will have that bandwidth tomorrow. So part of this is really actually all of this. And many of our episodes here are all about how do I better understand myself? So not only I can enhance my life, but I can understand others better in my worlds. So those 3 things are why personality can be so important to understanding in the workplace as well as in our personal worlds. Number 1, just understanding how we communicate, our preferred modalities of communication, what that looks like. That was the first one. Personality and understanding it can also help us to uncover how we interact during conflict. So conflict management and resolution was the second thing. And then thirdly, motivation. What motivates you? Why does it motivate you? Why does it not motivate you? Those are 3 different areas where understanding your personality and how you're made to be in this world, and uniquely you from the time you're birthed, that's an incredible understanding to gain about yourself. I can't say enough positive things about my continued journey in personal development and how it's also enacted the best versions of me in the professional world. And sometimes that best version means stepping away from roles or partnerships or opportunities that weren't aligned to what my personality needs, what type of communication I need, how I need to work with others through conflict resolution or management or healthy discourse. Those things are all super important, not only in our personal lives, but very much in our professional world as well. So make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're listening on Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc., all of the platforms that we stream. Thank you, thank you. We are now reaching over 30 countries in the world, and we're so glad that you're here and you took a chance on yourself today. Let's continue to get compassionately curious together. Take care.